Today's topic of discussion is dating damages women. So if you look at today's society, right, men and women, they're trying to get to know each other through all these stupid dates, wasting their time, and things aren't going anywhere. So we're going to be discussing some key points in terms of why dating damages women and how it's the least effective way of getting to know women for marriage purposes. So first point is emotional. Now, for guys that don't know, some guys, it might be the first time they're hearing this, but women are emotional beings. They're emotional creatures. They make moves based off of impulse, and they don't use logic and reasoning for majority of the times when it comes to relationships. Now, there's certain women, right, they will go on a date. So let's say there's 10 different guys. She goes on 10 different dates. Each of those dates, she's speaking to the guy, getting to know him. And then let's say out of those 10 guys, one guy, he may have learned some game, charisma, viz, whatever BS you want to call it. He's good with his words. He knows how to get a woman to fall in love with how he talks and through his words. Now, this guy here, right, may be a scumbag degenerate who just fornicates with several other women. And he's positioned himself in a way where he's seen as higher value than the other guys. The issue is the woman may develop feelings for that guy. She'll get into a relationship with him. He'll fornicate with her and then just chuck her to the side of the curb. Now, how many cases do you guys know of that happening? There's a lot. You know, women, what happens is women get into these relationships, they get used and abused, their value gets deteriorated, and then they try and jump onto the marriage market and think, oh, okay, let me try and find a husband. After they've destroyed their virginity, given it out to these scumbags, and now she's just completely vulnerable. She's damaged. You know, this is what happens when you leave women by themselves to make decisions with regards to relationships. Now, if you look at history, right, arranged marriages, now there's a difference between arranged and forced, because a lot of people, when they hear arranged, they think, oh, that's a forced marriage. No. Arranged marriage is where a girl's parents will find suitable candidates for that girl, and then they'll arrange for the marriage meetings, also known as courting. Now, the girl will pick a guy she likes. Now, those guys that are getting to know that girl, the family's likely to have done some vetting beforehand. So I found out more about the guy. What is he like? What's his background? What type of person is he? And then them two would end up getting married. And then those relationships tended to be more successful. They tended to last longer. Now, what have you got right now in today's society? Women and guys getting into boyfriend-girlfriend relationships, fornicating with each other, and then things just fizzle out. That's what the issue is right now when guys are not leading properly. So that leads us to the next point when it comes to dad. Right now in today's society, dads are not leading their daughters properly. If you look at these girls and their relationship with the dad, it's poor. It's pretty much non-existent. That's why all these girls are on all these dating apps, marriage services, you name it. It's because their dads are not helping them to try and get married, to try and find a suitable partner. Now, if you look at that app, what's it called? Muzz. It's got like 8-9 million people worldwide, users across the board. Now, some of the girls on there, 18, 19, 20, young, they ain't got no experiences. They're linking up with all these guys from the app. They get used and abused, and then they're damaged for life. Because of what? The dad wasn't present in her life. She didn't have a strong relationship with her dad. The dad was like, oh, go get your education, go university, get a job, and then later on you'll think about marriage. Now, what's happening right now when it comes to society and hyper-sexualization of everything? When men and women, when boys and girls go through puberty and then their hormones change, what sort of position are they in when it comes to dealing with the opposite gender? They end up making erratic, impulsive moves. So these girls, what they'll do is they'll end up getting into these haram relationships. And then they've destroyed their value. The value gets deteriorated. And in certain times, the dad is not even aware of what's happening. The daughter's going out, linking up with other boys, shisha lounges, parks, festivals, you name it, out in the streets. And then he's thinking his daughter's righteous. His daughter is just going to university, studying, or going to college. She's doing her studies and she's a good girl. She's getting up to all types of wild activity. That's why relationships are mainly breaking down. It's because of guys. Guys aren't leading anymore. Guys aren't protecting. Guys ain't teaching their daughters the correct way of getting to know somebody. If you're trying to get to know the opposite gender, you need to do it through a set criteria and there's a certain method of doing things, also known as traditional courtship. Now, from the Islamic perspective, when a girl is trying to get to know a guy, or when a guy is trying to get to know a girl, whichever way it is, the girl needs a wali. W-A-L-I. That's an Islamic guardian that's put in place so she doesn't get used and abused. Because of what? Because they're emotional. They'll end up making bad decisions, poor decisions. This is what's happening right now when it comes to the deterioration of society. Guys are not doing this. Guys are not leading their daughters. So the daughters are going out doing wild activity and doing all types of craziness. So next point is decision. That's what happens. When the dad isn't involved, he's not in the picture. These girls will end up making poor decisions. They'll end up choosing the wrong guys. And then certain times they end up having children with the wrong guys. Getting pregnant and then having a child. If they had a proper dad in place, a proper guardian, a male guardian, if she had a strong relationship with her dad would be able to guide her and teach her the correct way. The dad would have been able to filter the guys from the get-go. That's why there's only a handful of dads who are actually really present in their daughters' lives. Now, if you look at a Western society, some of these girls are going on these stupid dates at like 14, 15, 16. Chatting to all these guys. These guys are just trying to get in their pants. At that age there, the guy ain't even working, he ain't even got his own place. Just complete loser. Why is she going on dates with them type of guys? Some of these people here, they make me laugh. Can't take them seriously. This is what happens in life. We make poor decisions. We make wrong decisions in life. You're going to have to deal with the consequences of that. So, final point is consequence. That's what happens with these women here. They end up losing their virginity. They end up getting pregnant with the wrong guys. They end up getting damaged for life. That's why dating doesn't work. Dating has never worked. It's only come about in the last 40, 50 years. It's been made popular through mainstream media. That's why all these guys on the internet talking about dating, going on all these dates. All these guys are clowns. They don't know what they're talking about. They've all got failed relationships. They're just fornicating with each other. Disobeying God. There's no blessings in those type of relationships. Disgusting, dirty activity. That's why you got so many relationships, so many children right now who are born with mum and dad not even being married. It's just disgusting. If you're a child and you're raised in that type of environment, your mum and dad ain't even married and they end up flipping having a child, which is you. Flipping sick. They call that child the B word. So you guys can research it. B-A-S-T-A-R-D. Don't want to say it because YouTube is sensitive. That's flipping disgusting. So just to wrap up. Emotional. Women make decisions based off of emotion. So what they'll do is they'll go on these stupid dates. End up chatting to a guy. The guy's just a scumbag, dirtbag. Scumbags go on these flipping dates anyway with these girls. Just trying to get in her pants. And then once he's gotten what he was looking for, chuck it to the side of the curb. Certain of these red pill clowns on the internet, they literally do that. That's what they talk about in their videos. They talk about literally fornicating with women and chucking them to the side of the curb. Just disgusting, vile, dirty behavior. If somebody was to do that to their sister or to their mum, you see how they would lose their mind. And the next point after that was dad. The reason right now we've got a massive breakdown in relationships is because people ain't dads no more. They're not protecting, they're not providing, they're not looking after their daughters. Because if they were looking after their daughters, these women wouldn't be giving out their virginities to these dirty, low quality guys. You know, their most prized possession value goes from all the way up here to all the way down here. Within one day, one night. And the next point after that was decision. When you make poor decisions in life, that's what happens. You end up deteriorating your value. That's why dating, it don't work. It damages women's mindsets. They start thinking all guys are like this. They're just trying to use my body. And then the worst part is, these women here will literally be celibate for these guys who are just like giving them money. And then they'll just they'll give themselves to these other type of guys. So they'll use certain guys for money, holidays, whatever, BS. And then they'll make those guys wait. And then they'll end up giving themselves to these guys who have got Riz, game, or whatever nonsense. Knows how to chirps up women. Bad boy type guys. Whatever you want to call them. And those women later on down the line, they end up regretting it. 10, 20 years down the line. When that woman's got multiple different baby daddies. She's not even got a healthy, stable relationship. Dysfunctional household. And the final point was consequence. That's what happens. These people here, they're going to have to deal with the consequences afterwards. As soon as their mindset becomes damaged, as soon as they go on more and more dates, stupid dates, that's what I call them, dumb dates. That's when women's value deteriorates. So, I hope that makes sense, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.